Good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you might be watching it, if you're watching it. I'm going to call this Racing Rewind. I've had a few names that were sent in, that's probably the best one that's come out. Ultimately, I'm just going to be quickly capturing the action that's happened over the last few days, mainly the weekend's action. Bit of a view towards Cheltenham, but just my 2 pennies on what I think of it. I'll be sticking the videos up in the corner again. Not really any real hot topics to be talking about outside of the replays this week, so I'm just going to get on with that. So, kick off on Thursday at Gowran Park, Fiestas Chase Day. Now, the main thing there was the Galmoy Hurdle. Benny DeJure making her seasonal debut. I mean, she's just an absolute beast. She's one that I've always liked. Put that clip up of getting on the line with Matt Chapman, where he was asked a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, you know, to Rich Reekie about how good she could be. She came over and ran in Carlisle after that in a mare's chase, and she was 8 to 13 then. I thought she looked like she was a good thing back then. Obviously she fed at Cheltenham, but you know, she's a beast. Would be worried if she went stairs for Paisley, but she's got to go mare. She'll pick that up the better ground, and you can go and win at Punchestown and then go back and get that French champion hurdle as well. Yeah, so she's just a beast. It's just great to see her back. It's shame about Apples Jade, but that's racing. Cotswold Chase on Saturday was the next best thing. So we can see here Santini and Bristol de Mai. This is 3 out where Bristol de Mai makes that mistake. He was jumping really nice in there. Ultimately, I know the ratings might have said something a little bit differently with the likes of Topville Ben in there, but it was a 2-horse race as far as I was concerned. I did think Santini could potentially edge it. We knew it was going to be a close battle. It was just one of them that Santini needed to be winning this if he was going to be a Gold Cup prospect. I think this is sort of as I would have seen the race panning out. So we can see Santini there made a bit of a mistake. The jumping wasn't great from either of them, completely. There were some really nice jumps that were in there. It's just one of them performances that you can just imagine that there was a Gold Cup race now, and these two are running as they are in the finish, and everything else around them sort of going clear. I did think that Santini could edge this. I would have liked to see him win a little bit more comfortably. I know they'll say he needed to run all those sort of things, and he's entitled to come on for it, but good enough run. I'm not sure it's a Gold Cup winning performance, and I do really like the horse, but you can see how far clear they are of the rest. I don't think that really enhances the 2 in front. That's just how good they are. They should have been that far clear in my mind. We're looking at the Ballymore trial here. The reason I'm showing you the start of the race is the fact you can see King Ronan's well behind, but also look at Protector Forat that's also there, finishes 3rd. They're well at the back. The jockeys just wanted to line up this way. In first glance at the race, I was a bit frustrated. Just thought, you know, King Ronan's going to be a beast if he manages to come and win this. We can see him swinging up round the corner as they're hitting the bottom, and then they're coming up the hill. This horse wins by 15 from here. I can't believe that anyone would think any different. You can see there's a bit of a shake of the reins there, and he's not really picking up. Here I'm starting to feel a bit worried. Question marks whether he saw Robbie Powers on the outside, but he definitely knew he was there. You know, he's jumped a length and a half down there. He's being ridden, and he does stay on, as we'll see in the finish here. But that's what I was touching on about the start and where they were placed in terms of when they started the race. Protector Forat was only a little bit in front. He was giving him weight in this performance. I would be disappointed with King Ronan there. Harry Senior, I didn't think he'd say, to be fair to him, so he looked a genuine Albert Bartlett type, given the fact that he's got form at 2 miles as well. And this is the start of the Cleve Hurdle. The only reason I'm showing this is sort of comparison, reasonable, same size field, and then you can see they're strung up. They're positioned where they want to be for the race, so just don't read into the start. Pick this up a couple of furlongs out. Now Lisnagar Oscar being that close, we know that he's got ability. If you keep an eye on if the cap fits right at the back, not really being ridden, but actually finally stays on. Now what a hell of a performance this is from Somerville Boy after the real kill. Paisley Park, it's only his 2nd run this season. I was expecting him to go a little bit further clear, so I know it's a decent performance. Aidan Coleman was happy, his ears pricked, he's doing everything right, but you look at To Be Fair's not far behind, you look at Lisnagar Oscar's not far behind. Somerville Boy will improve for that run because of the fact that it's his first try at 3 miles, so first thing I do when I get home was compare it to this year to last year. We'll see him jumping the last year about together. Now the reason I'm talking about this is I just wanted to see how emphatic Paisley was last year in terms of a distance and what it was this year. This year it was on slower ground, and you can see on the right hand side Paisley Park from last year, although the winning margin is bigger, they jumped the last about the same, and this year was slower ground, the left hand side. You can see the left hand side actually crosses the line before. So I was ready to knock down this performance, but it's a decent one from Paisley. He's just good, and he just does what he needs to do, but he's just good horse. Over to Doncaster, the Lightning something novices chase. Mr. Fisher, you can see sort of tanking on the outside. So good to see so many of them in with a chance at the last. Problem with Sam Twiston-Davies is he tries to get a jump going into this last and just doesn't meet it right. So Mr. Fisher manages to pinch a length and a bit out of him. Sam manages to go round and ride that finish that we know he can do. He's getting to Mr. Fisher, but then as soon as Mr. Fisher finds him on his quarters, he picks up a little bit. You'd think Mr. Fisher would be more of a maybe JLT type or Marsh novices chase, but yeah, wouldn't see them winning the Arkle. The River Don, Albert Bartlett Trial, Champagne Well. I mean, I don't think it was a great ride from Paddy Brennan, but they've got such a long run in, I was probably being overcritical at the time. When he finally does give him a crack, he doesn't really respond to it, so that's probably why I wasn't knocking him about earlier. But you can see just how tired Champagne Well's finishing here. It was a good effort. It was the right option of race to go to instead of coming for the Ballymore, but he's just not that great. Nice horse though. Then we can move ourselves over to Fairyhouse on Saturday. Allaho just knocking about business, isn't he? Walk Away, that eventually finishes third, is a horse that I do think is okay. I'm not sure what they'll be doing with it. I'll be keeping an eye on him still, but this has gone 20 lengths clear of. They're comfortably 130s horses. That makes him comfortably a 150s horse. And given he's done it in a canter, I think he's the real deal. 160 plus. Where he goes at the festival, still up for debate. I'd like to see him JLT, but on that you'd think he could step up and be competitive in an RSA. Now the Solarina Mares Hurdle, I like this race a lot. Willie Mullins had a load in there. Cool Reevy in the white hat on the inside. Dulcita that drifted like a barge. It was a bigger price for this race than it was for the Mares Novice, which is balmy. But Manila Medadi, as far as I'm concerned, is the best form this season in terms of the Mares division. It's giving weight away. This is the best performance you will see all season from a mare. I think she could be good for Cheltenham. It's a hell of an effort. It just makes you wonder what Gypsy Island would have been like if she had not had the injury. But yeah, Manila Menedy, I've always liked her, and I think she is the top mares novice. That just franks it for me. On to Sunday's action at Naas. Stormy Island takes the Limestone Lad, the Grade 3 that Espoir de Lamb won last year. There was a few other Mullins runners in here. There's loads of talk coming about that. The other strings in Willie Mullins could have won this. They've let the favourite win. You saw the money coming at the end, but let's be honest, Stormy Island was the best horse in the race. Mengli Khan's not the same as he used to be. Franco de Port's not as good as they thought it was. Even the Australian Big Blue, it's just, they were there close enough to the other ones. Stormy, we're not getting a normal mare's allowance in this. I thought this was a decent performance. If Benny did go to the stairs, then they've got a worthy replacement, haven't they, for the mare? She looks good. We'll pick up Carefully Selected at Naas. Now, he was slow over a lot of his fences. He's quite careful. So the reason I'm showing you this jump beforehand is that's probably the only one I saw Paul Townend ride him into. Now, this was just a case of qualification. He did run only 2 weeks ago. He only needed to finish in the top 4. All those things. This is what happens. It's a big mistake 3 out. Now, like I say, Paul Townend did ask him for one before that, so I think maybe he was trying to see what could happen if he asked him to jump. But if you just let this lad go round, he can jump. He's done what he needed to do. It was 2 weeks. There's no point going to the 10 up because then it reduces the time you've got to the festival. He's got 6 weeks now to go in there. Willie Mullins can school him as much as he wants. He's a careful jumper. I wouldn't mind that. He's second a neck at Cheltenham in a bumper, so course form's ticked. You can say he's paddling a little bit here, but I wasn't disappointed. He's clattered that third last, and like I say, it was a run within 2 weeks. So yeah, he's short for the National Hunt race. It's probably not the price he should be, but plenty of run at bigger prices. I like him. He goes to Cheltenham with a real chance. I don't know why people are poo-pooing that. Just he made a massive hash, and it was a quick run after a couple of weeks off. Now, the big getaway. This is that bumper that I was talking about from last season with 6-shooter in there. Soviet Pimpernel could run in a handicap next week, so I'll be interested if he does. But the performance here, January Jets is in behind a horse that I thought was going to do better, but you have to give him time, maybe a fence, maybe see Jess Harrington in better form. But the big getaway just goes away, does what he needs to do. He's a big horse, really nice performance. You'd think off the back of this it's Ballymore all day long. You'd have to just question the class of the horses in behind. Probably entitled to go and do this. They expected him to win his last race and he didn't, so it was a great effort. Looks a really nice horse, and I suspect he'll be Ballymore bound. That's pretty much it in terms of the racing to look back at. There's no real sticking points in terms of real major festival vibes that I've picked up from anything that's coming in here. It's the usuals really. nothing that comes out of the blue, essentially. Nothing that I would be able to pick up that you guys wouldn't have been able to. If you've got any questions, anything you want me to talk about, then bring it on. I'll obviously rather respond to as many messages. Well, I'll respond to all the messages. I'll just respond to them as quick as I can. Thanks for watching all the stuff that's been on YouTube. There was a couple that were mentioned by Stephen when we did the Architect Tips. He's 7. Somerville Boy mentioned as an H-Way player for the Stayers. That's worked out well. Alaho, he tipped up for the RSA. Those prices have shortened up nicely. Even Ronald Pump that he said for the Potemps, that was in that race with Carefully Selected. Everyone was saying that was the bet without. I know his official rating in the UK 150 or in Ireland's 150. It'll be a high mark over here, but you know he's probably on the right line. So they're the sort of things you need to be thinking about as we're going into the Dublin Racing Festival. Are there horses you think will perform well there that might be value anti-post? I'm going to do a preview for this weekend's action. Hopefully we'll get Daryl back on board. Jamie will be on there, and then we're going to get Alan to do some stats again. So we're going to have Awesome Foursome for this week's one. Then we've got Newbury, then a bit of a break till Kempton, and then it's the festival, 6 weeks Tuesday. So, as I say, thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Any questions, give me a shout, and be lucky.